Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight. Today, after the Arsenal 2-0 defeat at the weekend, I wanted to make a quick video about talking about it. I started to make one yesterday but didn't get round to it enough. But if you like, favourite and subscribe this video, you can see this 1990s Peter Schmeichel original goalkeeping shirt. And I'll see what other shirts I've got in my drawers and try and get them out. I've sold quite a lot, but I've got a couple of originals, 99 original, the green and yellow original, and a few others. So I'll see if I can get them out and show you in some future videos. But on to the game, I just wanted to talk about it. We obviously lost 2-0. I think overall the performance was not bad. It was, I mean, we looked poor going forward really, but we're against the Arsenal side who were one of the best sides in the league and on form away. And we have a real poor record at the Emirates anyway. So a few weeks into Amorim's reign, at least we look, for most of the game, at least the first half, like we had a structure and some patterns coming out from the back. And a bit of bravery to play out the back away from home against the top side, which I don't think a lot of people have talked about. But once it got into the midfield, into like Agate, Bruno, things fell down. As I said in my previous video, that Agate's not a ball player, he's a destroyer, and Bruno is not a number 8. And just a couple of comments on Bruno, because I have to have a Bruno section in every video, is where is Bruno's resting place in this team when it's settled? In all honesty, because he's not getting picked in the 10 by Amorim, where everybody expected just be default number 10. He'd go in there, play every game in the 10. Amorim came out after his first game then, said he plays too many long balls. Since then, he's been between the 10 and the 8, played in the 8 a few times. Yes, he had an okay game in 8 against Bodo Glimt, but he should. We're Man United. They're a Norwegian team, and whatever people say about them being good, they should be nowhere near our level. So he was all right in that game in there, but you expect him to be. This Arsenal game, first half defensively, I thought he was actually quite good. But midfielders, if we're going to play Agate, who's a destroyer, who's the one there to run around and destroy and tackle and not really play the ball, we need a specialist ball-playing midfielder next to him, and Bruno Fernandes is not that. Mainu, Eriksen types are that, who pick the ball up, can take it from the defence or the keeper with their back to the opposition goal and turn in tight spaces and progress the ball. Make 1-2s up the pitch, or if they get the ball in the centre circle and there's 20, 30 yards in front of them, they drive forward with the ball. That's not Bruno's game. So my question is to you today, in the final word on Bruno, is where is he going to play long-term in this Amorim system? With what Amorim said about him being legs in the midfield and what he said about him at 10 being too long ball, what he's saying to me about Bruno is not particularly positive. It's just that he's doing him a job at the minute because he's one of the most energetic players we've got. Malacia played on the left, which was a shock. I think he did all right first half. Obviously come off and Ahmad come on and was class again. Rashford was... him and Xerxes were diabolical when they came on the pitch. Rashford trying that flick in the corner. Yeah, I get what he's trying to do. He slipped, fair enough. It's not really his fault him slipping. But it's a stupid thing to be doing against Arsenal in your own half. Like, you know what I mean? And Xerxes come on and just pathetic. Well, I hate to say it, but the guy is rubbish. And I've said it on many videos before. If anyone thinks Xerxes got any chance in this team, let's just stay where we are in the league, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, because that is his standard, if that. People saying it's too early to sell him and this, that and the other. If we're going to get 25, 30 million quid back for Xerxes, rip their hands off for it. Because he's never, ever going to make it at United, and especially not in this system. People saying playing him at a 10. He ain't a 10. He's a big, clumsy, hold-up forward 9.5, he calls himself. He's nowhere near a 10, especially not in an Amorim pressing side. So forget it. He's gone. But the takeaway from that game from me is the defence looked all right, and we're still struggling from midfield up front to progress the ball, to keep the ball, and to score goals. Højlund had a couple of half-decent moments where he held the ball up. But apart from that, people say no service. But I say again, it is no service, and it's him not being available to pass it to. And it does come from Bruno and Agate not progressing the ball properly from midfield forward to get him the ball. Ahmad leaving him out. I know Amorim was talking about him being tired, but... And maybe Amorim knew we wouldn't win that game, so he wanted to win the Everton game. And really, when you look on the face of it, that's clever management. You go out, you get the points versus Everton without risking not playing Ahmad and maybe getting a draw, and you sacrifice a bit the Arsenal game for the 3 points we got against Everton. And it's probably a sensible way to look at it, and why the team changed the way it did. Because we were probably, even with our strongest side, not going to go to Arsenal and get anything. And just on the corners, people are saying we defended them poorly, and Arna's weak, this, that and the other. Yeah, you could say that, zonal marking, whatever. But Arsenal are doing this to everyone. I praise Arsenal for their corner routines more than I'm going to tear our defensive attributes apart on those, because Arsenal have done it to everyone, and we gave them 15 corners. They were always going to score a couple. I mean, I think they nearly scored 2 more. They could have scored 4 corners. They didn't one hit the bar or the post, and one went just wide. And there was even the Martinelli one real early in the game that he fired over the bar. So they could have scored off 5 of them corners. And that's just quality from Arsenal. Whether you think they're fouling, whether you think it's wrong, whether you think it's Stoke FC, it works. If we were doing it, we wouldn't be moaning about it. We can only dream of having a set-piece coach like that and a single player on the pitch that can deliver a ball like Declan Rice can. And that is the end of that little chat about the Arsenal game. Pretty positive. Didn't really expect anything. We saw some stuff that we want to see from Amorim. Amorim's not the problem. The problem is players in certain positions, quality from the midfield and the front 3 or 4 that at the moment we just don't know how to utilise or get the ball to them. And when we do get the ball to them, the quality's not there. Just a quick little point on Mason Mount. I thought he was fine. People think Mount's had a crap game because he's not taking 4 people on and shooting from all over and creating loads. Mount is a system player who presses extremely well, gets the ball and passes it. There's no flair to his game. He is the epitome of a team player, and we need more of them. Garnacho, a quick word on him, because a lot of people have been on his back, and I've said in a few videos now that he needs coaching and he's on a fast track to Rashfordville. I'm going to let him off. He's a young lad, like I've said before. But we've slated Anthony now for 1.5 years for being one-footed, playing on the right and being left-footed and having no right foot. Garnacho's the same on the left. Watch him. Especially in this Amorim system, it's showing up more where he's forced to get to the byline to cross. Or he's obviously told that he's playing in that 10 role, he's picking the ball up more centrally, and he hasn't always got the space to run into, so he's got to pass. And his left foot is a standing foot. It's shockingly bad. The first goal comes from him trying to take the ball on the halfway line, and it's a poor touch and he gets it nicked off him. Look, I'm willing to give Garnacho the benefit of the doubt because he's got a long time to develop under Amorim. But at this moment in time, if I'm picking the strongest 11, neither Rashford or Garnacho are in it because they're both too weak on the ball. And what do we need more than anything at the minute? goals and possession in the final third, and neither of them will give us that. So that's 2 points on Mount and Garnacho there. Just some criticism of Garnacho. Not that I don't like Garnacho. I think Man United should always have a player like Garnacho in the team that's unpredictable, flair player, quick, wants to take someone on. But he's got to learn when to do that and when to not. And he also needs to work on his basics of back to goal, first touch, and using his weak foot. The same things that Anthony needs to work on, in my opinion. And people will roast me for that, comparing Garnacho to Anthony. But this season, especially this last 4 or 5 games, where since Amorim's come in and Garnacho's played in that different role, it doesn't suit him at all. So we're going to have to train Garnacho, find him a different position, or ultimately the club's got to be ruthless for this system. Will they have the balls to sell Garnacho? I doubt it this summer. Maybe in a year or 2 it might happen, but he won't be going anywhere soon. So we need to find a way to fit him in properly. And that's like my, I don't know, not tactical analysis of it, but where I think players are failing a bit at the minute in this system, I guess. Like I say, defensively we're all right, but progressing the ball from midfield to the front 3 has been very poor. There was a report out yesterday, I can't remember who from, but some rules Amorim's brought in to instill some discipline. So all injured players must turn up to the game an hour early in full squad attire and sit and watch every game, because at the moment I think they don't have to go, or they can go sit in the boxes and whatever. Every game they need to come and sit and sleep in a hotel the night before, whether it's home or away. So they're all together the night before the game, home and away. That so even the lads from Manchester and whatever will have to stay in hotels night before games. Get their heads on, I guess. Get together as a team. You know what I mean? It gets that, I don't know, probably gets your mindset right that you've got a game instead of getting out of bed and rolling up at Old Trafford. So, I mean, tell me what you think about them couple of rules. And then I think there's Amorim will apparently have done a full review of all players by the end of this month to submit to the club of who he wants and doesn't want. And apparently there's already 5 players on that list. Maguire, Lindelof, Eriksen, Johnny Evans, and one other I can't remember right now. It wasn't Casemiro. Evans, Lindelof, Maguire, Eriksen. Can't remember the last one, but it's an older player anyway. So 5 players. Oh, it was Anthony. So those 5 players are apparently already on the chopping block for Amorim, and he will have a full review of everybody and what he wants to do with them come the end of this month. So yeah, some discipline being instilled into the squad at long last, because as we've seen in the last break when Rashford was in America and Casemiro was in America for 5 days because they weren't on international duty, whatever you think of it, they're due on holiday. Footballers don't get any time off. They're held to different standards to a normal person. I totally understand that. But they're obviously very, very highly paid, super trained athletes with a short career. Probably their focus should be on the game for the 10 years they're in it. But yeah, I mean, you know, Formula One drivers fly around the world every single week and still perform physically every week. You know, it's possible. Is it probably a good idea to be doing it? And I guess they're acclimatised to it, F1 drivers, and all the time differences and everything. A football player travelling 10, 11 hours and coming back 3 days later, you probably got jet lag. That's probably the difference. F1 drivers and that are probably acclimatised to the travel and tiredness. But I'm not particularly against it. Do I think it was a wise decision for Rashford to do that? No. But whatever you think of Rashford, he deserves a bit of time off. You know what I mean? I'll give him that one. And then there's the Alphonso Davies chat that come out last night. Just quickly on that. Apparently, I think he's free, but he wants between 250 and 300k a week to get him out of, or get him to stop signing a new contract with Bayern. What do I think about wages? To be perfectly honest, I don't care about how much we're paying someone if they're performing. If Alonso Davies comes in on 300 grand a week and hits the ground running like Mazwari has, I won't care. And nobody cares what Salah's on, do they? Nobody cares what Haaland's on. Nobody cares what De Bruyne's on because they're winning stuff. So if Alphonso Davies comes into this club on 300k a week and hits the ground running, I could not care less what he's been paid. The only reason we talk about wages is because we've got Rashford, Casemiro, Anthony, Maguire, Shaw, on Mount even, you can include in that, Bruno, on 200 to 300 to probably between 200 and 400 grand, and they can't perform week in, week out. It's the only reason we talk about wages. If them 6 players had won us 4 Premier Leagues in the last 6 years, no one had mentioned how much money they're on. The problem isn't the money we pay for a transfer and the wages. The problem is the performance. And you could say, I guess as part of that is the recruitment. But that's not the player's fault, is it? We as a club have given Anthony 250 grand a week. We've given Mount 250 grand a week to sit on the bench. As much as I like Mount, it's too much. The club gave Marcus Rashford a 350k a week contract when he's inconsistent. This isn't a player problem. If your manager comes to you today in your office and says, do you want 300k a week? You're not going to say no, are you? You know what I mean? For doing the same job. So that's what I think about wages. It's a club problem, not a player problem. And if the players are performing, it don't get talked about, and it don't get talked about within the club either. So the club need to do better with recruitment, and they can pay people what they want, and nobody will care. The problem with wages comes when players are not performing. So do I want Alphonso Davies? Yes. If he comes in and after 2 years, he's crap, sell him. And that's the other problem. In the past, we would probably pay 300k a week for Alphonso Davies. He'd still be here in 6 years' time and he's not done anything. If we pay him 300 grand a week and he don't work and in 2 years we sell him, you've not really lost anything. You go get the next one. We need to stop clinging on to players, recruit right, perform better on the pitch, and wages are not a problem. But I'm going to stop talking there and now, and that is my Arsenal review. Some positives, a bit of news coming from the club, and then me on wages and Alphonso Davies. Like, favourite, and subscribe. The United Schmeichel shirt. He's going to a new home, actually. I've just sold this to someone because it's too small for me now. I'm a fatty. And I will see you on the next one. And I'll try and get out a new shirt for the next video and show you all the Champions League 99 original with Champions League embroidery. That was my late dad's shirt. I'll never sell that one. And peace out, and let's go for the next couple of games.